What is up, Ravens flock? Huge shout out for your support for the 410 Sports Talk. James and Glenn are the best in the business. They're killing it right now. They love talking Raven talk. Make sure you go subscribe to their channel. Let's go Ravens. Big trust.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. James Haskell, along with my co-host Glenn Martin. This way. And we are here to talk about some news. It's interesting because last night, Glenn, we were talking about this specific position group in our live show. Go check it out if you haven't, because there's a lot of questions surrounding the edge rushers. And one of those questions has been answered. So we're going to talk about the recent signing for the Baltimore Ravens, the recent acquisition, a familiar face. But before we do, as always, hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications. Make sure you stay up to date with all your Ravens news. And in addition to that, give us a like and leave us all your comments below. We love interacting with you guys. So, Glenn, talk about this signing. Who is it? And what do you think of it so far?
Yeah, so it shouldn't come as much of a surprise to Ravens fans, especially those who follow the team closely. Justin Houston is returning to the Ravens on a one-year deal. If you guys remember back, let's see, how long ago was this? It was, I think it was June that they put the unrestricted free agent tender on Justin Houston, which meant that they had exclusive negotiating rights if he didn't sign with a different team before July 22nd. And if he did sign, then he would then count in favor for the Ravens in the compensatory pick formula. But what that means is it guarantees him 110% of his prior year's salary, which, if I'm not mistaken, Jimbo, I believe his base salary was just over $1 million, and he had,
I think all in it was like $2 million, right?
Yeah. So either way, even at 110% of that salary, and the details haven't been released yet, but I can't imagine this being a very expensive signing. And so for the money that they got him for, I'm excited about it. This is a guy who, while he had his least productive sack total season, when he played a full season, he's still a guy who was ultra reliable. He played in 15 games last year, and he was a big time leader for the younger guys in the room. I know Odafe Owe tweeted how excited he was to have Justin Houston back. So, I'm just, my initial reaction, happy to see him back, because they needed depth and they needed top end talent at that position.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. I'm happy to have him back as well, because we've talked about this word a ton of times, and it's probably Eric DeCosta probably has a shirt that says this, and that's value. Value is everything here, right? If you're talking about 110% of $2 million, you're talking about just north of that. And to get a guy that's generally healthy, number one, is a huge steal, right? To get a guy who's, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's third in the league in active players as far as sack total. I think it's only Von Miller, and there's one other person that's ahead of him. Impressive stuff. And you talked about him being a leader. Now he's going to have another guy in David Ajabo in which he can instill his wisdom upon. So I'm looking forward to that as well. And look, it's not like he's not a solid contributor on the football field. You said it. I mean, it wasn't his best year last year. However, he's available. He's experienced. He's a team player. He's willing to get the job done. And we'll hope for a 5 to 7 sack season out of Justin Houston, who's 33 years old. But also, I wouldn't be surprised if he has some sort of rebound, because there's usually 1 year at the end of a guy's career where he empties the tank, right? And Justin's got to be feeling that. You know what I mean? It's not like these teams are calling like crazy anymore and offer him gobs and gobs of money. So he's got to be feeling that. And, it's just like the last mile in a race, right? You've gone so far. It's just pure adrenaline getting you all the way to the end, right? So I'm looking forward to it, man. I agree with you. I'm excited about it. I know just yesterday, JPP would have been my preference, and I think he still would have been my preference. But I think what this means is that he wants a lot more money. Because I think that if the Ravens had it their way, they might have given Pierre-Paul the same money. He probably didn't want it. I'm just speculating here.
Well, I'll say this. If you just go by the analytics and pass rush win rate, Jason Pierre-Paul fell behind Odafe Owe. He fell behind Tyus Bowser, and he fell well behind Justin Houston in win rate. And the interesting thing about Justin Houston, and I think another way he kind of helps the rest of the guys around him, he was by far the most double teamed guy on this team as well. If you look at his double team rate, and he also had the highest win. So he had the highest double team rate on the team and the highest pass rush win rate on the team, despite the fact that he's, on the backside of his career and did only have 4.5 sacks at season's end. It's interesting, Jimbo. It's still hard for me to imagine as I get older. This guy's younger than me, man. Like, it doesn't feel like he's younger than me when I watch him walking around, when I see him at training camp. It doesn't feel right to admit that he's almost 2 years younger than me. But anyway, that's just my own personal things I'm going through there. But no,
it's just a reality you're going to have to live with, dude.
I know. It's really.
How old do you feel when you watch the NBA draft?
Dude, when I watch the NBA period, there's not many players that are my age or older left.
I mean, what's going to happen when the LeBrons of the world, when the Chris Pauls of the world, when these guys are gone?
I know.
Like, what do you hold on to at that point?
Well, what we have is we end up watching some of their kids play, which is crazy to think about. But no, getting back to Justin Houston, I think that it showed last year, even though his numbers may have shown out, if you look, kind of do a deeper dive, he was a double teamed target, by the opposing team, and he still had he still was winning his matchups. So I think you're right in the fact that this could be a bounce back year for him, because now teams are more aware of Odafe Oweh. They're going to pay more attention to Odafe Oweh. Tyus Bowser the same. I mean, he's coming off his highest sack total with 7 last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then once Ajabo comes back and they get some extra help down the line, hey, you never know. If they're playing for something at the end of the year, maybe Justin Houston becomes a big factor. But nonetheless, happy he's here. Even if we get what we got last year from him, I'd still be satisfied with that. I just hope that this doesn't mean this is it for them. Like, I hope they still continue to add to this room, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, maybe JPP's not out the door. You know what I mean? They like you said, they continue to add to it. The other thing when it comes to Justin, like you said, is that if Odafe takes the reins as the highest percentage-wise, the highest double-teamed player, I mean, technique Justin Houston's got. He's not a guy, in my opinion at least, that is overly reliant on his ultra athleticism. I think that's a part of anybody's game at that position. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't seem to me, when you watch him, he's got a plethora of moves.
Yeah.
As Greg Roman would say, a plethora of moves, right? So, if, like you said, you've got to respect him. Obviously, he garnered respect last year, and so he can get those one-on-ones. Mm-hmm. Exciting to think about, right? It's just an exciting a couple of young guys, a couple of guys that are, can really teach a guy a thing or two, right?
Absolutely.
So it's going to be interesting to see. That's really the question. Are they done in free agency in general, right? Because they're already kind of up against it. And then are they done in this room specifically? Those will be the two big questions that'll be answered now and all the way until September when the season actually starts. But let us know what your guys' thoughts are. We're really excited about it and happy to see Justin Houston back in the fold. I think Glenn will agree with me more than anything to kind of settle the waters there a little bit.
Yeah.
And
there's an awful lot of pressure.
Questions.
There was an awful lot of pressure on Odafe Oweh and even Dalen Hayes, who's never even taken a meaningful snap. So yeah, that at least relieve some pressure and bring some calmness to the waters of the outside linebacker room.
That's right. He walked in and said, "Peace."
Yeah, relax,
still,
everyone.
Right?
Relax.
Yeah. Yeah. So let us know what you guys think. All comments below, and we'll talk to you soon.
See you.